AITA for telling my sister her husband was cheating on her with her best friend, and now their marriage is over, and my parents are furious with me. It all started like any other day. I never imagined that one small decision would turn my whole world upside down. I'm 32 years old and my sister Emily is 34. We've always been close, and I've always admired her. She's the kind of person who lights up a room when she walks in, and for the longest time, I thought she had the perfect life. Married to John for 7 years, they seemed like the picture-perfect couple. But I soon realized things weren't as they seemed. Emily's best friend, Sarah, had been in our lives for as long as I could remember. We all grew up together, so it never struck me as odd that she was always around. Sarah and John were also close, but it never occurred to any of us to question it. They were like family, and that was normal, right? But something began to nag at me. I started noticing little things, tiny, almost imperceptible details that would catch my attention and make me feel uneasy. At family gatherings, John and Sarah seemed to share more than just friendly conversation. They sat a little too close to each other. They had these private jokes, these glances they'd exchange when they thought no one was looking. And Emily wasn't part of those moments. At first, I tried to convince myself I was overreacting. I told myself they were just close friends. We all were, after all. But that nagging feeling wouldn't go away. Something didn't feel right, and I couldn't shake it. Then, one evening, everything changed. It was a night like any other. I had just finished a long day at work and decided to stop by a bar for a quick drink. I wasn't expecting anything unusual, just a moment to relax before heading home. But as I walked in, I saw them. John and Sarah. At first I thought, oh, maybe they're just grabbing drinks like friends do. But then I looked again, and my heart sank. There they were, sitting in a dimly lit corner booth, far away from the other patrons. And they weren't just chatting. They were kissing. Full-on, passionate kissing like a couple of teenagers. My stomach dropped. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I froze for a moment, unable to process it. I didn't know what to do, but something inside me made me reach for my phone. My hands were shaking as I snapped a picture of them, evidence of the betrayal I had just witnessed. I didn't even stay to confront them. I just turned around and walked out, feeling like the ground had been pulled out from under me. For the next few weeks, I was consumed with guilt. What was I supposed to do with this information? Should I tell my sister and blow up her marriage? Or should I stay silent, allowing her to continue living in ignorance, in what I could only imagine was a happy illusion? Every time I saw Emily, my chest felt tight. I couldn't look her in the eye. I couldn't hear her talk about John or Sarah without feeling like I was suffocating under the weight of the truth. I wrestled with the decision for what felt like an eternity. Part of me wanted to protect her, to spare her the pain of finding out. But how could I live with myself, knowing that her trust was being shattered behind her back? Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore. The guilt was eating me alive, and I knew I had to tell her. So one day, I sat her down and showed her the photo. My heart pounded as I watched her face, waiting for the reaction. At first, she didn't say anything. She just stared at me as if trying to process what I had just shown her. Then, she broke. She started crying, yelling, accusing me of lying, of being jealous and trying to stir up drama. It was like watching her whole world crumble in front of me, and it was one of the hardest moments of my life. I just sat there, letting her scream, letting her release all the anger and hurt. She needed that. But once she calmed down, she confronted John and Sarah, and they admitted it. They had been having an affair for 6 months, behind her back, behind all of our backs. My sister's marriage, which I thought was solid, had been hanging by a thread for months without any of us knowing. Emily was devastated. She kicked John out of the house immediately and filed for divorce. As for Sarah, she was cut out of our lives completely. Emily couldn't bear to see her anymore, and honestly, I couldn't either. I thought my sister would hate me for telling her, but instead she thanked me. She said she would have never known the truth if it weren't for me, and as painful as it was, she needed to know. But that wasn't the end of it. While Emily and I grew closer, my parents' reaction was unexpected. They were furious. They didn't understand why I had told her. My dad in particular was angry. He told me that sometimes couples can move on from affairs, that maybe if I had kept quiet, Emily and John could have worked things out. My mom echoed his sentiments, saying that I had robbed my sister of the chance to fix her marriage. Suddenly, the family was divided. Emily was leaning on me for support, but my parents were treating me like the villain. It felt like everything had spiraled out of control, and I didn't know how to fix it. Now, I can't help but wonder, did I do the right thing? Should I have stayed quiet, or did I make things worse by telling her the truth? It's been such a mess, and honestly, I'm still struggling with the fallout. But deep down, I know I couldn't have kept that secret, even if it meant risking everything.